Hi there, my name's Nick Dutch, and on this channel I've been covering some issues pertaining to modern day spirituality, and especially what I tend to call strange experiences and how they connect to issues pertaining to consciousness, the supernatural and the like. It's a complex subject. There's an awful lot of things that we don't know, but I also want to cover issues of personal development, possibly even psychology and that sort of thing, as this channel carries on progressing. But before I do that, I just want to tell you a story about this thing here. What I'm holding in my hand is a necklace, a bit of a new agey type necklace. I've had it for a long time now. It's got a little crystal point at the end of it. And there's a bit of a story and a bit of history, personal history associated with myself, connected with this one particular crystal point. You see, when I think I was about 19, roughly speaking, and I used to go to this particular bar in my hometown because I was 19, you know, it's the age when you can go out and meet friends, go to bars, have a beer, that sort of thing. And it was also a time in which I was meeting people involved in the pagan movements, and one of them told me about this one particular technique whereby you concentrate your mind when you're in a vaguely meditative state which you've trained yourself into, let's say, a flavor or a property or some characteristic of an ideal drink or elixir or potion, okay? And you then use a crystal point and you then focus and breathe the idea from your mind's eye, the idea of it, down your arm, into your hand, through the crystal point, into the liquid itself. Okay, and this has, or is believed to have, the effect of changing the properties of what it is that people are about to eat or drink. And there's a mystical kind of like connection between the Christian Eucharist and, you know, putting the idea of the Christ energy into the water, the wine and the bread prior to giving it to people. But this is also used within Wiccan celebrations. It's also used in a wide variety of other things, but not with a crystal point. You see, the belief is that the crystal connects with the aura of the individual and becomes an amplifier or a focusing tool somehow. Now, after I'd learned of this technique, I thought I'd try it out in practice. And I went to the bar and I told people that I could turn their beer into whiskey, which is, of course, a very bold claim. This is, of course, something I can't do anymore, and maybe we can discuss that a little bit later on. But anyway, people would literally give me their beers, and I'd take my crystal point, and I would do this whilst concentrating on the flavour, the effects, the defining characteristics of whiskey. You know, that kind of like the malty, the burning, everything which is to do with like a really strong alcoholic spirit with that kind of flavour. And I visualised it going into the drink. And there were people who were like taking swigs of their beer and saying, "Oh, God, I can really feel the burning." You know, these were people who were disbelievers of this incredibly massive claim I was making, who were drinking the beer and confessing that they could feel more drunk and relaxed and happy. And they could taste the whiskey, they could feel it burning down the throat. And this was an amazing thing for me to do. It was totally weird, right? There was other times when people would give me their cigarettes and I would do the same sorts of thing and put a slightly different flavour and effect in the cigarette. And there were people saying, "Man, this is not an Embassy No. 1. Gosh, you know, it was a crazy time in my life. But my interest was, what can this be used for? How can we use this to try and help people? So I said to my friend who told me about this technique, well, why don't we get a massive group of people together and go around purifying water? Because I know it's in the third world. You know, there's people that are drinking water that's rancid, it's got parasites, it's got germs, it's got all kinds of evil in it, okay? So, oh my word, you know, can we do something about this problem? And my friend just laughed. And I thought to myself, why is he laughing? You know, what is so funny about this idea? You know, we have something here which does something, and can we find out more about what it does and try and do some good for people? Okay? And then he used that phrase, "It doesn't work like that." You know, it works, but it doesn't work like that, which is, of course, a phrase I hate. So, what have I just discovered? Something happened. A strange experience was generated, yes, using clear quartz crystal. What does it mean? I don't know. What is it? What are the insinuations of this? I don't know. What can we do with it? I don't know. But that strange experience happened. So I'd like you people to experiment and explore this particular possibility of something happening there, to see what you can do with it. I personally don't believe you can actually purify water with it. But imparting something from your mind into something which other people can consume appears to be some variety of reality, which is of course very, very bizarre. And crystal points seem to have some kind of importance with this one particular phenomenon. It just does. I don't know how, I don't know why. It just does. Now, why can't I do it now? Well, maybe it's a question of the body is different, the brain is different when you're 19, you've got more, hormones going around your body, you're a bit more alive, and maybe your thinking is a bit more simplistic. So you can think more in terms of primary colours, you can think more in terms of flavours, textures, emotions in a different way than you can when you're 40, and you've got a more nuanced and complex understanding of life. And maybe you can only project into something which is already of yourself. It's just a hypothesis. I don't actually know. I don't think anyone actually does. But it's just one of those experiences in my personal history which has demonstrated to me the possibility that our minds are not limited to our brains and our bodies. There is an extension outside of it, and we can actually do something with the energy that we project somehow, which can do people possibly some good if we can learn more about it. And we don't know enough about it right now because of the time in history that we're living in. So I'm just going to have to say over to you now, because there's too many questions, there's not enough answers. But there are very strange, very real experiences that you can have if you put your mind to it and find out about this weird stuff. Thank you very much for listening.